Tell them boys to tighten up, tighten up.
Let me hear you say it.
Whole city getting hype now. Tell them boys to tighten up, tighten up.
Let me hear you say it.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Cass here, and we are here to dive into something. Oh man. So, the Tennessee Titans traded A.J. Brown to the Philadelphia Eagles in exchange for the 18th pick and a third round pick, if I'm correct. So, I'm going to get into this. So, we traded, of course, all pro wide receiver A.J. Brown. And I'm going to explain in my idea of why we did this. So, A.J., his first year, had 1,000 yards. He played all 16 games. The next year, he had 1,000 yards again, played in 14 games. The next year, he had 869 yards, played in 13 games. We're getting somewhere with this, if y'all understand what I'm saying. I also want to realize that we have not used him in any of, what many people believe he can do, which is more of the Deebo Samuel role, be able to get the ball in space. We did that a little bit in his first year, especially in the game against New Orleans. We did that. So, I don't know if that was just an idea that we had scheme-wise, but I think we could have utilized AJ a lot at that. But his total career at the Titans, he had 2,995 yards and 24 touchdowns. Okay. So, we're going to get into this a little bit. Tennessee Titans, over this offseason, acquired Los Angeles wide receiver Robert Woods. Robert Woods is coming off an ACL tear, I believe, and has been a very solid receiver for a long time. We're going to get into it. He's played for a bunch of teams. So he got drafted in 2013. Oh, he's just changed his number. That's what it is. He's just changed his number. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Anyway. Yeah, and then one of these is the Los Angeles Rams and St. Louis Rams. Okay. Anyway. So, with this, we saw Robert Woods gain a slow pace, but he really started to kick off with his years in Los Angeles. And what you're seeing here is something that I've caught on to. Robert Woods has played really well his final, from 2018 to 2020, played a very good stretch of football. Now, I'm not saying he's A.J. Brown, because he's not. But what Robert Woods is nobody can question this. I'm not saying AJ's not good at it, but Robert Woods is a better blocker than AJ. Nobody can question that. Robert Woods may be the best blocking wide receiver in football, period. That was said by Sean McVay, the coach of the Los Angeles Rams himself. And it's part of the reason that Mike Vrabel and the Tennessee Titans went out and drafted Robert and traded for Robert Woods. That's number one thing. So I'm trying to catch on a pattern for you guys here. 1,200 yards, 1,100 yards, 900 yards, injured this season. 9 games. Okay. I think people might be looking into Robert's injury. Hold up, I clicked on AJ. I think people might be looking into Robert Woods' injury a little too much. With that being said, I understand the concern with the past with stuff we've had with Caleb Farley, and then especially the stuff we've had with Bud Dupree, and even Jadeveon Clowney to an extent. But what I'm saying is, I could see and I don't want to hear this either, of mediocre quarterback play is why AJ never got over 1,000 yards, over 1,100 yards. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it. Because you got guys, Megatron had 1,800 yards in Detroit. I don't want to hear it. So that's not something I'm doing. because you can't say that AJ couldn't put up numbers when he was having games where he would get absolutely locked down and come out of the game. So, I don't want to hear it. And see, game started. He came out of a lot of games midway through, so really his numbers should be down more than it is. Because AJ really did seem at some points, especially last year, like he was getting injured every other game. And I don't know if that's just me, but this is what I'm trying to get into. I think we're going to be okay with Robert Woods, with Traylon Burke. Traylon Burke played really well at Arkansas. You'll see this here. His final year, and the reason I say this, you got to look at these. He's only played 11 games and 9 games. 11 games, a lot better. He didn't get a lot of targets, though. He got a lot more targets his second year. Also missed 2 games. He would have got over, possibly would have got over 1,000 yards his second year. Maybe not, actually. But either way, yeah, with 3 more games, he could have got over 1,000. That's only 180 yards in 3 games. That's possible. Traylon Burks had 820 yards and 7 touchdowns, and then 1,100 yards and 11 touchdowns. People are calling him very similar to A.J. Brown. I see that a lot. But one of the things I need people to really understand is what I'm going to show you next. I would like to show you guys the remaining Tennessee Titans draft picks. We went into the draft with 7 picks and A.J. Brown. We left the first round with 10 draft picks and Traylon Burks. I don't know about you, but we now have a second round pick. We now have, 2 third round picks. And we have 1, 2. We have 5 picks on day 2. We have 5 draft picks on day 2. I got one more thing I want to show you guys before I let you go. That's this right here. I think it might have went a little bit too far. Yeah, it did. Let me scroll back up to where I was. This right here. I'd like to show you guys the most guys that I think have the most potential going forward. For Tennessee Titans to really show off and prove what they did was a really good decision, they need to draft one of these guys. Whether it be George Pickens, David Bell, Jalen Tolliver, or Sky Moore. I'm very atoned for Sky Moore. I think he could play very much the Chester Rogers role for us, like what he did last year, but way better. I really am high on Sky Moore. Another guy I'm high for, and I don't even think is on here. He might be. I'm going to look for him real quick. It does not look like he's going to be. Yeah, he's not. Okay. The other guy I'm really high on is Khalil Shakir out of Boise State. But anyway, and John Mechie. John Mechie's another guy who's got some injury concerns, but you've got guys here that you could take. I like Trey McBride. I think tight end could be a very good need for us. There's places that we could go with that draft pick. I'm not 100% even against trying to go out and get Malik Willis or Desmond Ridder, a quarterback. I'm not against it. Brock Purdy, Nakobe Dean, Andre Booth. There's guys that we could really improve this team that we could get because we got away AJ. I understand that AJ, a lot of us fell in love with AJ as a part of this team. But you got to understand it's a business as well. There was no way the Tennessee Titans could pay AJ Brown $100 million, guaranteed money, half of that, over half guaranteed for 4 years. That's not happening. On a run-first team, that's not going to happen. We got younger. We got cheaper with Traylon Burks. We have a veteran in Robert Woods. Arguably, I think Robert Woods is better than Julio Jones was last year going in. I would have rather had Robert Woods now than Julio Jones now. I don't think that's a truly mysterious thing to say. If anybody thinks that that's a crazy thing to say, put it in the comment section. We can talk about it. Because I would 100% I don't think anybody can say they would rather have Julio than Robert Woods. So, take that into account, guys. We got a lot of draft capital for AJ. Indirectly and directly. We got a lot of draft capital from the draft. I think John and Frabe know what they're doing. I think we're going to walk out of the second round with the second day with a receiver as well. And if he does that, with four receivers instead of 2, I'm way more happier. Say we keep AJ, we have AJ and Robert Woods and NWI. Say we get one of these guys, Sky Moore, John Mechie. We have John Mechie, just say for example we get Sky Moore. We'll have Sky Moore, NWI, Traylon Burks, and Robert Woods, and not to count if we get a tight end or not. Plus, a lot of guys are forgetting about Austin Hooper. We're good, guys. We've got this. Anyway, this has been your boy Cass. If you like this episode, make sure you hit the like button. If you really liked it, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next episode. And I am out. Bye, guys.
Tell them boys to tighten up, tighten up.
Let me hear you say it.
Whole city getting hype now. Tell them boys to tighten up, tighten up.
Let me hear you say it.
Need